Okay, hi Veit.
Hello.
I wanted to meet with you because I had this idea for using LLMs to help me prepare a roadmap to the Glamorous Toolkit book.
Got it. That
Okay,
seems like a good idea. Yeah.
so what I did is I wanted to create some meta information about the pages in the book so that I could keep track of notes, but I didn't want to clutter the pages themselves. So I built a tiny little project called MetaBook. I sent you the link there. And what it does is it creates a parallel knowledge base. So for every page in the book, you can have a page in the MetaBook or not. So it just
Okay.
keeps them active, and the pages have the same names. And the repo also decorates all of those pages with links. So a page can point to its meta page, and a meta page can point to its base page. So you can easily just click back and forth. And there's a list which looks like a table of contents, which shows you everything. Why don't I just show it to you very quickly? This is just background. We don't actually need this for what I want to do, but it's kind of related to it. Uh, Let me see here. I can never find things in Zoom because they always keep changing. So, more? What happened to the share? Uh,
I have a share button in the bottom. It's green.
oh, yes, I'm blind. I think I didn't see it because it was green. Desktop 2. That's the right one. Good. Share. Okie dokie. So what I've done is I've loaded this up here. Let me just say. So I click on MetaBook, and there are actually two repositories here. Um, I sent you the link. This is the link to load the repo. And if you just load that, it's in it's in Slack. So if you load that, you will actually you'll get the repo and you'll get two knowledge bases. One is a knowledge base for the project, which just has a few pages in it about the implementation. And the other one is uh, the MetaBook itself. So here's actually a page in the MetaBook, and I've got a bunch of pages, and some of them are paralleling pages in the Glamorous Toolkit book, and some are not. So and I get some extra buttons here at the right, particularly to the Git repository, but here's to the overview. So if I click this, this is an overview of all of the pages in the GT book, and the ones with check marks have meta pages. And there are also some pages which are kind of orphaned. Those are like this page that doesn't correspond to any page in the book. Now, if I click on a page like Glamorous Toolkit, that's a page from the book, and it has a link here that says, go to the meta page. If I go to the meta page, this is a parallel page in my Leopard, in the Leopard database of meta pages that people don't normally see. They only see it if they load this repo. So that way, don't clutter anything in the GT book with this information. And it has a link going back to the base page as well. If I go to a page that doesn't have a link, so it doesn't have a meta page, it has a different button, and this button will create a meta page. So if I click on that, a new page is generated, and now if I go to the base page, it has a blue button instead. Or if I delete this page, because there's nothing interesting here, then it's no longer in the meta database. Okay, that's a little bit of background. So what I've been doing is I've just been going through and making various random notes about pages, trying to figure out what I could do in order to create roadmaps for users, for newcomers. So the idea is there are all these pages, but they're kind of organized. But when you come in, where do you start and what pages should you look at? So after looking at a lot of these, I also went to Discord to try and understand what are the profiles of the different kind of newcomers and what are they looking for. I finally came up with the following idea. So, and what I'm calling topic roadmaps. Um, so the idea is that the pages in the book, they usually correspond to different kinds of topics. So there are pages about patterns, there are pages about using block, there are pages about using Git, there are pages about creating custom views, and so on. So there are a bunch of different topics um, like these. So programming and Smalltalk, there are pages on example-driven development, and so on. So depending on who the newcomer is, they may be interested in different topics. Also, some newcomers, if I look at the newcomer profiles, some of them are people who just heard about GT and they want to know more. Some people are curious about some particular technologies. Oh, I heard about Leopard. I'm excited about it. What's Leopard about? Or what's this stuff about custom views or whatever? There are other people who have a specific problem they solve. Oh, I've got this problem. I want to analyze my database of JavaScript, and I heard that GT might be useful. So those are three rough levels of profiles, and they can be further refined. Now, depending on who a newcomer is and they're coming in, we want to direct them in the right place. So my idea is the following. On the one hand, we have the newcomers, different profiles of them, and on the other hand, we have a bunch of collections of pages which can be grouped around topics. Furthermore, the pages in the topics are of different kinds or categories. Some pages are introductory pages. They're just sort of defining some terms or showing a video or uh, a slideshow or something. There's some which are an actual use case, is showing how we did solve this problem. Some are tutorials that say, hey, you want to learn this, do that, follow this along. Some which are exercise that say, hey, here's something that you can try. We're just going to give you some hints, but please do it on your own. And then there are lots of how-tos or frequently asked questions. So what I could do is I could go through all of the pages in the book and group them into topics, and for each page, describe what the categories are. And each page may be one or more topics, and each page could be of one or more categories. That's going to be a huge amount of work. My idea is that in the end, I'll have kind of a graph saying, okay, if you're a newcomer, you want to do this. No matter what you do, please start with this topic, which is introducing what is Glamorous Toolkit and what is moldable development about. Forget about Leopard. I know you're interested in Leopard, but please focus on, I want you to understand this first. And then you can go there, and then you can go there. So I can imagine having three, I don't want to have 15 or 20 roadmaps. I just want to have three or four general roadmaps, but saying, okay, you could start here, you could go there or go there. It's kind of a graph. The problem is, what are the topics and what are the categories? As I said, I could do this by hand, but it occurred to me, I don't want to hand it off to AI, but I would like AI to help me. And I would say, hey, LLM, hey, or AI assistant, these are the kinds of topics I'm looking for. Can you categorize or can you assign mine for me? What are the topics? And then I can check them. And then afterwards, I'd like you to assign tentatively topics to the pages, and then I can go and check them. Also, I'd like you to figure out what categories. I'm interested in the following kinds of categories. So I expect in the end, they're going to be something like anywhere from 10 to 30 or so different topics that are real topics. Each topic should have a clear learning goal. And then there should be probably maybe half a dozen, maximum 10 different categories. I'm not sure what they are. I think these are them, but there may be others. So I'd like the LLM, or not the LLM, I'd like the AI assistant to propose for me a set of topics, propose to me a set of categories. I want to check them. And then I want it to go through and for each page, assign the topics and assign the categories once we have a set that we like. And then we can go through them again and do sanity checks. And then we have a preliminary assignment. And then I have a basis for starting to draw the maps.
That all seems reasonable. I think that makes a lot of sense and is a good use of the system. Now, I would start with one use case and maybe one page just to get started, and I would really go iteratively. We can actually just explore it from Leopard if you want, and with a regular chat, and then we see what we need from there. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's what I thought because I saw that you have. I even tried it once, loading the markdown of the Lepeter pages into ChatGPT, and I saw that that works. That was some months ago that I tried it, and I thought that would be a good starting point. And you see, what I need from it doesn't even need to map at all to this project. All I want is a mapping from each page to the topics and to the categories. Mine the topics, mine the categories, and then do the mapping. So I can see
Yeah,
that there's several steps there. So I wanted to really do this in step-by-step fashion. So I thought I'd create a page here and you would direct me and I can log what's going on and that we can also save whatever we do in the same repo.
that sounds great. Yeah, let's do that.
And then what I should do is instead of working in the meta book, I can work in the project database. So this is the this is the other database, which is just the pages about the project. They're not part of the meta book at all. So I
Yeah,
would just create a page here, which is uh, right. And we'll just create a new page, which is about, still get this annoying thing
yeah,
that whenever I click at the end of a line, it opens the page for me.
yeah.
Let's call it experimenting with gt4llm to mine topics or
Yeah,
topic mining with gt4llm. Okay,
sounds great.
great.
And
And there was a page in the book. What was it? Um, LLM. This
yeah,
one.
that
That's the
one's great.
page, right?
Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't start with the whole book. Let's just add. Let's start with one page, and see how it does mining topics from it, and then we can go from there. I'd say.
To start with, good. Just one page of the book to mine topics there. Okay, very good.
I
Um,
like to start kind of with the smallest thing, just because there can be so much that goes wrong if I give it an entire stack of documents.
Excellent. Okay. Now, if we look at the book, oh, wait a moment. Right. We got lots of pages here. Um,
What are you looking for right now?
I'm just wondering what page we should start with. We've got case studies and tutorials and tours
Hmm. Hmm.
because whatever we pick, like working with the REST API, should
Yeah.
we pick something
Yeah.
really simple or
No, let's take something that's not where it's not enough to just look at the title, you know?
right?
Because I think the harder the one page is gonna be, the more of a verification we have that it actually does some work. Um, yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Here's a puzzler.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, let's do that. It's not immediately obvious to me what the topic is there. Is it about moldable development or is it about something else or is it
Yeah, you can also just take the page name and then go, but we can start from. So if you open a Ferris snippet,
yeah, just a sec. Uh, Let's start with boom. Okay.
Very good.
Okay. And we'll get the title there.
Yeah. And then we can just ask
Mm.
lead database, GT book, page named. Page named, I think it's called. And then,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah. And then we should get back to that page. Right. And now the serialization, I don't know that by heart, but you saw that on that. Yeah, exactly.
Just a second. First experiment with page. Okay. And uh, we need something from here.
Yeah. Can you see something here?
Yep.
I do.
Okay,
Yeah,
you highlighted
perfect.
this.
Yes, so the gt4llm page exporter, all that does is it exports the page in a markdown format that is relatively easy to parse for the LLM. So it does things like, for example, for nested examples, so examples that depend on other examples and so on, it will inline them. So it will basically expand the example, which is useful for this sort of thing. And now export should just give you a string back, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can still see this, so I took that away. Okay, now that will give us what we need. What it doesn't give us, but that's just how it is pictures. We can't give it pictures, unfortunately, right now. So those are just gonna show it at as PNGs, but that should be
Uh-huh.
fine. Let's try it anyway. So let's save that into a string. And do you have an LLM that you usually work with?
I've just used the default, the ChatGPT one. I've never tried
Yeah,
anything
perfect.
else.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Okay. And what do I want to save this as?
Um,
What is
just
this thing?
a this is a string. So
Oh, page string. Okay. Okay.
okay.
Good.
And now we can stick that into a chat. So the way I would do it,
So what is this thing that the exporter is giving us?
it is just an export of the page that is easily readable for the LLM, easily parsable, basically.
Ah, okay. Ah,
It's markdown with a little bit of optimization to make it give the LLM the context that it needs.
okay. I try to document everything as we go along because I have a terrible memory.
Uh, totally fine.
Okay.
Um, right. And what we should do next is we create a chat. And if you have a provider set up, then you can just say GTLLM chat new. That's enough, actually. You don't need
Oh,
all of this. You don't need all of this right now.
okay. So what do I need?
Just GTLM chat new and save that into a variable, for instance, chat or GTLM chat or I don't know.
Okay. Chat colon equals. Okay.
And
Good.
then you have a chat and it's set up. And so this doesn't have any specific prompting because I usually don't try to prompt right away. I give it the problem and see how it performs, and if it needs some nudging, we can do that later.
Mm-hmm.
So now what we can just do is I'll let you type.
Okay. Good. I like that.
It's a bit like testing, right? Where you do the simplest thing and then,
Yeah, I like
yeah.
that. Shall I do that programmatically? Chat something?
Yeah. Chat, add message.
Okay. There's send
This
chat request. That's different.
that's different because it's gonna request an answer right away. So I'm gonna say add message and
Mm-hmm.
Just the page string. So that's
Ah,
as a first message.
gotcha.
Or rather, when we say add message, you have to say gt4llm user message new content page string. So gt4llm user message is the class that you want.
Yeah.
New and content string. So this
Uh-huh.
is an instance of a message. So we're making that by hand right now.
I see.
And page string. And you can inspect this and you will see actually what this message has, which is just the content as a string, but it's rendered for us. Now, that we can add to the chat, and then we can send our request as a next message.
What is this? Do you send message? Like so?
Um, you can do send message, then it's gonna send an answer. If you say add message, it's not
Okay.
gonna send
Gotcha.
it. It's just gonna add it to the list of messages.
Let me write that.
Mhm.
NB. Send message will request a response while add message. Message just adds it. I mean, it sounds kind of stupid and obvious, but it's not so obvious, so I should write it.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Okay, and now you can say to stop. And as you see, you have a message, but the
Mhm.
LLM won't be responding. Now you can either through the chat write your request,
Mhm.
characterize topics or whatever. We can also do it programmatically, which I prefer because that makes it repeatable.
Yeah, that's why I have it logged here, so it's
Yeah,
much nicer that
exactly.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would use their send chat request because now we want an answer, and then we don't have to construct a message ourselves. So this is just a wrapper basically around add message, constructing a user message, and then telling it to generate an answer. That's all it does, more or less. Send chat request.
Nope. Doesn't seem to be. Send message?
Oh, actually, that's in the action chat, which is a specific. Just send message is fine.
Okay. I was puzzled because I didn't.
Yeah,
What's the
no.
topic of this page?
Um, right. Maybe a few. What are those called in English? Maybe a few. I only remember the German word right now.
What's it in German?
Schlagworte. Schlagworte.
Ah, keyword.
Like a few keywords. Yeah. Propose a few keywords to summarize, or say propose 5 or however many you want. Um,
For this Leopard page, do I need to specify what this is?
no, for for the above text even, you can say, um, and we need to make a user message out of that again because otherwise we're gonna add a string.
I see. Like so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that should
Okay.
do it. Now, if you execute that, it should start working.
Hmm. Didn't like that.
Amazing. Um, that's funny. What did I do? What did I not think of? This looks like GT4 OpenAI actually has a different format for the body. Oh, this is me forgetting how to do this. Can we? Can you close that and can we look at how we do it in other places? Because I forget sometimes how the API is
What
used.
other places?
You
Do I
can
need to
say
load?
see how send. Sorry,
Should I load another project?
you don't. Another. We can look at another page. Yes. And maybe GT for maybe the base page, and I will remember where to go. So the base page for gt4llm.
This one.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. I was wrong. If you go to anything, actually, if you go to the very next page in the book, which is chatting with an LLM, you will, so in the table of content view, that should be the next page. I was just plain wrong, and send message actually does the wrapping for you. So we twice wrapped it
Yeah.
in a message.
Okay.
That
Oh,
was just me forgetting my own API. I'm sorry about that.
no worries.
Um,
Okay. Boom.
yeah,
Oh,
this one, you need a new instance because now we added this. So you need a new chat here
okay.
because we just put the wrong type of message in there. Yeah. All right. There we go. It will now start typing. Okay.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. And now this is where the prompting gets interesting because now we need to think about it answered our question, not really in a way that we want to have, right?
Right,
So
right.
now we need to think about, I would first think about the content, how to optimize the content, and then maybe the format. And for the format, we have some other things.
Let me just
But
open this on a separate page
mm,
and get back here to the chat. So we got the chat here and we got the page. So yeah, I mean, these are definitely keywords about what
yep.
this page is about. I mean, it is a difficult page. I'm just
Yes.
wondering.
What is the keywords you would use?
Uh, I don't know. That's why I picked this page. I thought, well, you said we shouldn't
Mm,
take something trivial.
yeah,
Um,
right.
but it's really this is really motivation for multiple development.
Hmm.
So it's background, and you can't mine that from the contents of the page itself, can you?
Right, there's something interesting here because to actually propose topics for this page, it needs to know the context of the page. It needs to know that
Maintenance.
this is part of the book.
Yeah.
Maintenance is good, but yeah,
Maintenance is really good. Was that one of the topics? Software maintenance.
yeah,
Yeah, I would say that's program comprehension. These are all important background topics. So it's actually not bad, but there's a kind of a meta topic. Sorry, there's a phone ringing in the background. I'm just gonna interrupt for a second, which,
no
okay.
worries.
Get it? Okay. Okay. It was answered or not.
Yeah.
Okay. Um,
Okay, so now I think what we should do at least is tell it the context of the text. So maybe tell it that this is a chapter of the Glamorous Toolkit book. Yeah, what I was thinking was that we should tell it maybe that it is part of the Glamorous Toolkit book, just so it can get better keywords in that context. For the
uh,
above,
just
mm,
so add message takes a message, which is a message, and send message takes a message, which is a string. Oh yeah, it's a message
yeah,
from a string. That's
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of annoying.
I'm sorry about that.
I could change it.
Yeah, you could. We'd have to change a few other places, I
Oh,
assume, but
okay.
yeah, we we use these. I mean, these are the main messages I'd say of the regular chat.
Yeah.
We should fix it. You're right, absolutely.
We could just have an
Um,
as message that
yeah,
be sent to the string, and if it's a message already, then
yeah, yeah. But
okay.
there are different kinds of messages, right? There are
Yeah,
user messages and system messages and assistant messages. But yes, point taken. Point taken.
yeah.
Now, yeah.
Yes, I would change this very fast.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. So we have to tell it that the context is, and we should do that before, right?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
We can just give it, can just give it the
This
text.
gives us several nice generic topics, but outside of the context of the book, we need to tell it about the book. Okay. So what do we have to do? We have to tell it this text is a page in a book about Glamorous Toolkit and moldable development.
We can do that. What I would do is just so, in the spirit of having it automate this later, I would do the whole request again in one. So propose up to 5 keywords for the above text, which is a chapter in the Glamorous Toolkit book, for instance. So this is um,
Good. Then,
and we can do that in the same chat. Um, Usually, I would restart the chat just so it starts as a clean slate, but we can definitely just reuse this chat for now, and use it as a scratch pad and then refine later.
let me just prepare this so that the next time I can just take this boilerplate and reuse it.
Yeah.
Which is a page in the Glamorous Toolkit book.
And let's do it like let's try it like this.
We don't need to tell it about moldable development yet.
No, I would start as generic as possible every time. I've done this thing where I top down implemented prompts in the beginning or wrote prompts, and it was always a bad idea because it's much better. Interesting. Yeah, multiple development is a topic.
Ah,
Uh,
yes. Right, I missed that. Okay.
Understood the context. Yeah. So what I was saying is, prompts I figure are bottom up much better and going less text and then more text iteratively.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Julio.
Now, are those topics as of yet meaningful enough? Are those the output that you want? And if not, what can we change to make it?
Actually, they're not bad. It's just that there are too many of them.
Well, then
But
let's give it less than 5. Tell it to use less than 5.
mhm. Okay, let's try that. And up to 3. And then we lose multiple development.
So it goes. If you ask it one more time, it will come up with 3 different ones. So it's also not stable. We have to remember
Yeah,
that.
sure.
This
That's
is
fine. Now we get
this
multiple.
time exactly. Um, so if we're happy with kind of where this is going, what we can do now, either we can tie it down to a specific format so that we can reuse this.
Mm, okay, good.
So
Yes.
now the question is, you want to use this, right, as as a automated way of assigning topics to the pages and then
Well, not exactly. What I'd like to do is I'd like to first go through the entire book and collect the topics and sort of
mhm,
coalesce them. I don't want topics which are just appear in one page. So I want
right,
to get for the entire book, well, each page might have 5 topics, but in the end, I want to reduce them to about 20 or maximum 30 topics for the whole book, and then go assign the topics to the pages.
perfect. Okay, then I think what we should do is we should define a format for the LM to output so that we can consume it programmatically.
For the LLM to produce so we can process it programmatically. Well, that's pretty simple. It's just a mapping from a page to a bunch of topics.
Yes, but we have to tell the LM to always output format X, right? And
Ah,
there are two ways to do this. And I think the way that we should go about is structured outputs. Now, there's a page about this in the book that will basically inform that.
okay.
Um, but basically, it's a way to provide a JSON schema, and then the answer will be in the format of that JSON schema. Yes, using structured outputs.
Okay. Let me
And
just,
there we have an example format, and I would just copy paste that code for now.
okay. Let me make a new section then.
Mm.
Mm. Using structured outputs. Oop.
So historically, what you would have done is tell the LLM to adhere to the format, but it didn't always. And so using structured outputs, you are sure that it will always output this output format.
Okay. Just close a couple of things here.
This is
So,
also what we use in the assistants to ensure that they always give us the same structure.
okay. So we need something like this.
Right. So this is, have you seen JSON schema before?
Yeah, sure. Oh, JSON
Okay.
schema, no.
Okay. So
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I've seen JSON, but I'm not familiar
yeah,
with the schema definition.
mm, it's pretty easy. So basically, you have always this type, right? An
Ah,
object
yeah,
is just this. And then you say which properties are there, which properties
right.
are required, and then inside you have another one of these types, right?
Yeah.
And that's it, basically. Now we can throw away a lot of this. We can throw away the uh, well, let's settle on a name for the field, topics, maybe,
We have
right?
title and we have topics, right? That's
Do we
it.
need a title?
Yeah, the page title.
But
Want to
we know
map
the
the
page
page
title
to
when
the
we
top.
put it in, right? I mean, we can
Uh,
also take the output format. Yeah,
no,
well, it
because
doesn't
if we're
matter.
going to process a whole bunch of pages, for each page, there'll be a bunch of topics, right?
Yes, but we have the page. We need to have the page because we need to serialize it. So we
Okay.
can take the title from the page. But it that really doesn't matter. I mean that we can take it either way. But
Then we
yes,
just need a list of topics, and each of
yes,
them is a string.
yes. But this is now type string. So what we need is we need to wrap that in an array first. Let's remove the unit and required, the required things, except
No,
for
we need,
topics,
yeah, we need topics.
right?
Topics is required. And this is still a dictionary or?
So this is all still dictionary. This is all correct. Now, what we need to do is the content of the topics, because this is not type string. It is type. array, I believe, is what it's called.
JSON schema array of string type.
So what you do in here is you say type array and then items type array, and then the items keyword has the type, which would just be type string. So this is really a type definition. It just happens to use a JSON notation.
Type array. So I'm missing, what do I need to add? How do I add the string?
Period, and then items.
Okay. Items.
And then that contains another, no, this contains another object, so another dictionary that says type string, because that's another type. So that's the item type inside the array. So items type string.
Like that?
As dictionary. Yes,
As
and then as dictionary.
Oh.
Right. That's it. That's what we need. Now this is the JSON format.
You say so.
We can even, if you want, define in that, I don't know whether the LLM supports it, but JSON schema does. You could give it a min and max length. So we could even say that this array can only contain 1 to 3 items if we want it.
I see.
We don't have to. We don't have to, but it
Right.
would be something interesting. But maybe let's play around with that later. Let's start with this
just
minimum
make a note of it.
definition.
We can also specify as part of the type that the array may have a min and max length.
Yes.
But we don't have to, because then we would hardwire it in the type, which is not necessarily a good thing.
Yes. It does give the LLM information about how many things it should produce, which is good. But we don't need that right now. And I would go without it again because minimum. Right? And now what we can do is we can just copy paste the chat code from over there. Yeah, I don't like that actually. Let's do it a slightly different way.
Okay.
Let's do again the chat from above with gt4llm chat new. Yeah, let's just take that last bit that worked pretty well. Just copy paste that in there.
Okay.
Yeah. And before we add a message or add anything else,
yeah,
we say chat provider format, and then we give it the format. So the provider holds on to the format.
Gotcha.
And that's it.
That's it?
That's
so we
it.
don't need this.
No, we can remove this.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's see whether that works. Invalid. Additional properties is required to be supplied and to be false. Yeah, so some of them have different ways of defining the JSON schema. So in the top level, I think it was the top level. What we say is additional properties false. So now this is literally just differences between the various LLM providers and what schema they.
I didn't expect that. I just sort of.
Yeah, if you click on this, it will open a debugger with the error. There might be another one. There might be strict true to be required, but we'll go just explore this now.
Should it be false or the string false?
No, false. The type. Yeah.
Okay.
The Boolean is what I wanted to say.
Okay.
Yes. And now let's try that again, the whole thing, and see whether it spits out.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
Nice.
And there you have it. Now, you can go from there. And so let's extract from that last response. Actually, this is now asynchronous, and we want it to be sync, right? We want to make sure that we get the response back.
This is now a what?
This is asynchronous. So the
Asynchronous.
yes. So we need to make sure that we get things back sequentially. Probably is what we want, right? Or we start jobs for every page, but then you get 1,000 coroutines running at the same time. I don't know whether that's nice. We can start
Okay.
synchronously. And so you can wait for the results of the chat. Now, I don't remember how to do that, but I know that we have a page for it.
Not there.
No, I'm assuming that it's in the provider, actually. Can you go to the specific one that we're using right now? That would be OpenAI. So instead of searching for, yes. And then just go to that page for now. And then let's look at the subpages. There we go. Working with the OpenAI client, potentially. Okay. It is possible that I did not document it, which would be a bummer.
Which pages do? A tool send chat request. No. Don't see it.
There should be a future somewhere. Run.
It's not in the API of the provider.
It is only implemented for the assistance provider because
Execute
that
wait.
one. Execute wait does indeed do things in the end, but I don't think that I've added a hook to go into that. What we could do is hack around that.
Yay! Let's hack.
Yeah, so what we can do here is we can then go to the response provider and go to the last execution and just wait for that. So you say underneath this, chat provider executions last wait. So what that does is it takes the last thing that we started and waits for it.
Execution data?
Executions
Yeah.
last
Okay.
wait.
Uh-huh. And then we look at the chat.
Yes.
Okay.
Indeed. So this will probably block now
Okay.
while it generates a response. Okay.
Oops. Let's get to the right place.
And now you can say chat messages last even, and then you get the last message.
We add, oh, sorry, this is now. Just want to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this makes no sense. Right. Yep.
Now we can, in a new snippet, we can say chat messages last and extract the data from that messages last content JSON, for instance. Now we can say content JSON, and it will give us back the content as an object.
Um, dyslexic typing. There.
Right. And then we can even say add topics, and then we get the topics back. And then we have all the pieces, I think. Right.
Cool.
So now we can get the topics for a page. And now all we have to do is do that for every page in the book, um, which will be, I think, a job that we don't want to watch run because it will take a while, I
Okay.
assume. What I would actually also do is I would create a new chat for every page because the chats are lightweight. They don't need to create anything on the server side with the provider that you're using. And so there's nothing that clutters up anything when you create a new chat and then not reuse it.
Okay. And it doesn't cost more or cost less.
It doesn't cost anything. I mean, it has the object allocation costs, um, but as in your image, but there is no associated cost. It's not. It's actually probably even cheaper, just because you're sending less context back and forth.
Okay. But what I should probably do first is pick some small subset of pages,
Yeah.
iterate over that, and see if the initial message needs to be further refined, right?
Yes. So some 10 pages or something, and do that. But you now have basically the tools to iterate over things and focus on the content rather than the programming, right?
Okay, and now I think I can do exactly the same thing with the categories, right? So I can ask, I want to say, what kind of page is this? How would you categorize this page? There, should I give it more context or just let it guess first? Just let it guess.
Let let it guess first, see whether the output matches what you think it should, and then I usually try to reason, okay, because it doesn't ever generate bogus, it just misunderstands you. And then I try to be more clear at explaining. It's not unlike programming, where the computer usually does what I tell it to, but not what I intend it to do
Right.
necessarily.
And then once I have the topics and the categories that I like, then I feed that in as the context and say, please assign topics, please assign categories. And once again, I do that one chat per page. I don't need to load the whole book.
No, I don't think so.
And that way I can
Unless,
also iterate and do it as jobs over time and not,
yeah, yeah, you might find that there are some pages that are just short or make no sense on their own. So there might be some like the using structured outputs one. If you click on the using structured output link in the page, or
uh,
yeah, wherever
oh,
you have
sorry.
it, you have it right
Yeah,
here.
yeah. I see it. I just saw a typo I had to fix.
Now, just taking this page without any further input, I have no idea what I would even categorize it. If I um so
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether it performs too well on these pages yet, but that we'll have to figure out what to do with that and how to do that. Um but I would
Okay.
verify that before I uh cross that bridge when you get to it, basically.
Excellent. Okay. Um, I guess that's enough to get me started, right?
I hope so. I'm around if you need anything, if you have any follow-up questions, also for another session.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that should get you somewhere.
Yeah, that's much simpler than I expected. I thought, because some of the examples I thought required a lot more setup, but this is quite straightforward. I like the format story.
I'm
Um,
glad.
but that's the story with the format that depends on the actual kind of chat it is, right? Or
So you mean so it every provider has slightly different ways, and so of defining these formats. We do have an abstracted away version of this. So we have a data model which can generate these, but it's a bit more heavy-handed to write yourself. And so sometimes I just opt to make a simple object um, here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, let me make another note here.
Mm.
Uh, to do add message and send message should both really take a string as argument.
Actually, they should probably both take a message instead of a string. So they should both take a message, not a string. But and then we can add a utility method as LM user message or something. Hmm.
Okay, that would be nice. Okie
Hmm.
dokie.
All right.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. This was fun. I'm glad it worked.
How long was that? Oh, that was an hour and a half or so.
Really? Wow.
We
Okay.
started at, no, 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 we started a bit later. So it must have been just a little over an hour.
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
but that was fun. I think also other people can learn from that.
I hope so. Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
great. Thanks a
Then
lot, Veit. See you
have a
later.
good one. See you.